Hey guys, Vass here from Aussie Playground and welcome to another episode of RC Pit Stop. Today we're going to be fixing the Hyper MTe. If you guys follow the channel, you know that I've done a running video on 4S as well as on 6S of this truck. And unfortunately, when I ran the truck on 6S after a few nasty falls, this was the end result to the chassis. Now, I will say that I'm not the only one that's actually ended up with a bent chassis like this. I've had one or two other people contact me via Facebook and send me some photos of their buckled chassis on their Hyper MTe. So this was not a one-off. This is something that I think is happening to other people as well. However, OFNA have been very, very nice to me, and they've actually sent me out a new chassis. And as a matter of fact, the person that contacted me and sent me the photos to their busted truck has said that OFNA is also going to be replacing their chassis. So great to see that the company is actually standing by their product. I just hope that they can do something in the future to rectify this and prevent it from happening, whether they redesign the chassis or whether they come out with some sort of brace that you can attach on here. I'm not entirely sure, but I just hope that they can see a bit of a pattern here and obviously rectify it. Because to be quite honest with you, I really like the truck. I love the power that it has, the suspension. These shocks are absolutely fantastic. It's got extremely solid front and rear A-arms. It's just a really nice truck. There are a couple of other issues as well, such as the slop in these A-arms and the knuckles. But these are some things that you can obviously tune out as time goes on. I'm sure there'll be remedies available for that. So I'm going to very quickly show you the chassis that they've supplied, which is obviously just a direct replacement. So this is the chassis here. It does feel alarmingly light. Surprisingly, when it's all together, the truck is actually quite heavy, but the chassis itself is actually very light. So I'm going to try and maybe brace this one to stop this from happening again. I don't know quite how I'm going to do it, but we'll see. I'll try a couple of different ways and see if it'll work out. The other thing that they sent me is they sent me a whole bunch of parts to fix the rest of the truck, because I did have a few other things go wrong. I had a screw back out here of this shock tower that holds this shock in place. I had my grub screw come out of this outdrive cup here, so that went missing. And I've also got a couple of broken links. So I've got a broken link just there, and there's another one at the front just here as well, which I need to replace. And in addition to all that, they also sent me out a couple of things to make the truck capable of running on 6S, because the argument from not just the viewers that saw that video, but also from OFNA, is that the truck is not rated to run on 6S straight out of the box, which I find very strange because it is equipped. The electronics can take it. It's 150 MPSC and the motor can run on 6S, of course, so the truck is set up for it. It's just, according to them, it needs to be strengthened. So they sent me out a couple of extra things, which I'm going to run you through very quickly. And once I install those, then I'm fully capable of running on 6S. But of course, it doesn't really, it's going to stop the chassis from bending if I do have a couple more nasty falls. They've sent me out a couple of rod ends. Now these I believe are for my camber links, which I don't think I needed, but they sent me out a couple of these anyway, so that was very nice of them. I've got some washers here. This is to replace the washer that went missing that holds these shocks in place. So I've got those ready to go, as well as the screws needed to put that shock back into the shock tower. The screw that went missing out of the outdrive cup, you can't get that screw on its own, so you actually have to buy a pair of outdrive cups, which are these, and they of course come with the included screws to hold everything in place. So I'll be fixing that up. I do have the required links to fix the ones that actually broke, so I think I've got 2 broken that I've seen, and I'll be fixing those up. Very nice. And now this is the bit that OFNA sent out to me to basically show you guys and let you know that this is what you need to do in order to make the truck capable of running on 6S. So here we have front and rear CVDs. So they actually sent me these, hopefully without the light kind of getting in the way there, you can see. So I've got front and rear for those, because these are dog bones that are in the front and rear of the truck. And they also sent me out some new wheel nuts, which actually come with a couple of securing screws as well. I've never used wheel nuts like this before, so this is going to be very interesting to fit them on. So I've got two pairs of those, obviously front and rear, and it's a good thing that that's happened too, because these are the original nuts that the truck comes with, and I actually lost one of them, so I had to sort of pinch one, and it's a silver one, so it kind of looked a bit odd having one silver nut on one of the wheels. But at least now I'll have them all matching again, and they look really good. They've actually got Habal written on them. Anyway, I'll show it to you when I take them out of the packet. Now you'll notice here that I've actually stripped the truck of its steering servo as well as the radio, and that was really because of RC race wars with the Duratrax 835E versus the Typhon. The 835E actually has a stripped servo, so I took the servo out of this truck to use it in that buggy. And I'll be putting it back in here now. Obviously I have to get another servo for the buggy now. And I also took out the radio because yeah, the Duratrax didn't actually have a radio. Well, it did, but it was linked to a radio that was being used in another car, and I wanted to have both cars running at the same time. So anyway, long story short, I just took it out of here and put it on that buggy, so now I'll be putting it back. And that's pretty much it. That's everything that I need now to put the truck back together and just swap everything that's on this chassis and put it into the new one. So I've got a fair bit of work ahead of me. I need to fix everything. I'm going to try and do this without, disassembling every single component. I'm going to try and see what I need to do to swap everything out. Hopefully I don't have to pull too much apart. Try and keep most of the front and rear ends in place, and maybe some of the center compartment as well. But we'll see how we go. It's going to be an interesting little swap over. So I'll come back in a few minutes and show you my progress and let you know how I'm going with it. Alright, so this is what I'm up to at the moment. I've pulled apart the front end of the truck, and I've just done some minor repairs here while I've got this separated from the main truck. So I've replaced the broken link that I had, which was this guy here. I've also fixed up the screws this one here was actually loose, and this one was missing on this shock. And I've put Loctite in both of them, obviously to stop them from backing out again and having the same problem reoccurring at a later stage. And whilst I've got everything kind of pulled apart here, I've decided to replace my drive shafts with these CVDs that were sent in by OFNA. So I've already done the one on this side. I figured I'll take you through the steps necessary to do the one on this side. Now inside here, there's a little grub screw that holds the pin, this pin here in place, and once you've undone that screw, you should be able to push this pin out just like so. So that pin comes out like that, and then this guy slides clean off. Now to take out this knuckle, the way that these knuckles are actually put into place is actually kind of a strange way. You're going to need a 1.5mm hex, and there's going to be a screw, a little grub screw, hopefully you can see just one up here, and there's another one just in there as well. And you need to undo these just a little bit. So you undo that, and this one here. Hopefully I've undone them enough to pull these out. And there's these pins that come out. So you've got one on this side that slides out, and then there's another one on top as well, if I can get it. And that comes out like so. And then this guy will simply come out just like that. Okay, now I can take the original dog bone out of the truck, and in here we can take out this this cup, and my ball bearings come with it, but that's okay. Put the ball bearing back in, so that's all good. Thankfully these aren't very dirty at all. I mean, the truck hasn't seen a lot of use. And now I can go ahead and put this back in. Now something that I found was that I thought I was going to have to remove the grub screw that was in this cup to hold that pin in place that holds your hex, but you actually don't need to do that, because as I've tried on the opposite end, when you put these new kind of wheel nuts back on, hopefully the camera will focus in on that. When you put these wheel nuts back on, there's a hole that you can see in the middle there, and then this screw will actually come over the top and hold the wheel nut in place. Now this screw will actually hold that pin in place, so you don't need a little grub screw in here anymore, unless of course you're planning on not using these nuts, but I'm going to use them, so that's what I'm going to be doing. So we'll pop this guy in here. That goes in, hopefully, if I can get it in. Here we go. And we'll get this knuckle to go back in like so. So I need to fit the shaft through into the ball bearings. Come on. May need to pull it out a little bit. Here we go. All right, so now that's in. Line up the dog bone back into the cup again. And there we go, and then put this guy back in and we're good to go. All right, so now we can put these little holding pins back into place. So there's one on the bottom and another one on top, like so. And now we can tighten up these little grub screws again. There we go, and tighten that one. These are actually pretty tight, I have to say, so I don't think I really need to put any Loctite on these. They feel pretty good. All right, so that's now good to go. And of course I can put this guy back in place and just pushing through just quickly. Get my pin, and I'm gonna have to line this up. Let's see if I can get it. Where is it? There it is. Okay, there we go. All right, so that just stays in there like that. So now once I put my wheel nut over the top, once I have my wheel in place of course, and then this nut goes in, this screw goes in, it'll hold that pin in place. Hopefully that kind of makes sense, because I actually swapped out the little grub screw as well, and then I couldn't put that little bolt over the wheel nut. So it just needs to stay in there like so. These pins, you know, they really shouldn't fall out too bad because, well, I mean, you're not going to be using the truck without the wheel, so they're not going to be falling out anyway. And they're in there pretty snug, so you can feel free to take the wheels off and still use the truck, you know, do your maintenance on it without fear of them falling out. So, so far so good. All right, so now I've got a couple of little bits here already on the main chassis for the steering. So I'll be able to slide these guys into place, hopefully. And you can see that it's got ball bearings everywhere, which is really nice. Makes for really nice smooth steering here. And then this will need to slide in underneath like so. And I'm going to have to basically cut here now and actually start putting all of this back together, and then move on to the next section of the truck. Okay, so for the next stage, what I've actually done is I've taken out battery trays on both sides. I've taken out or unscrewed the roll cage, and I've also taken out pretty much all the screws along the side and underneath the chassis as well. So this should just slide clean out. I haven't done it before, but it does look like it's moving pretty freely. So let me see if I haven't missed anything. This should just slide clean out. There you go, there's your center section. And then this guy comes off like so. So very nice and easy, and my chassis is now pretty much ready to throw out, and I'll put all the new stuff into the new chassis. But this guy will slide in here like so. And then this center section is going to slide straight back in here as well. So I'm going to keep going now and hopefully put all the rest of this guy back together. I'm going to give this rear end a little bit of a clean here, and yeah, we should come back with a fully assembled truck. Okay guys, so there we go. My Hyper MTe is finally all fixed up and ready to go again. Well, I say ready because obviously it is ready to run, but I'm not going to bash it until I actually fix up or brace the new chassis. Obviously, to prevent this sort of thing from happening again, I don't want to take any more risks with the truck. I want to be able to make sure that I've put some bracing in there that hopefully will strengthen up that front end of the chassis, and I can go out to the BMX track with confidence knowing that the truck's going to come back in one piece. Now, in addition to all the components that I swapped over and all the missing parts that I replaced and everything else, I also added this little guy back here, which is the wheelie bar. Now you can pick this one up from OFNA. They do sell this one separately. It bolts straight onto the existing bumper, so it's a pretty straight fit. That's really not complicated to do at all. You've got a couple of positions here to mount your wheel, and you know, it's got a little bit of flex to it, which is nice, which is you know, good to have a bit of movement there. And you know, this is, I think, going to be a very welcome addition to the truck, because it does have a tendency to flip on its roof when you give it full throttle. But to be quite honest with you, I really think that OFNA should include that wheelie bar in the box when you buy the truck, because yeah, without a center diff, having only that transmission, the truck has no problem in popping wheelies and flipping over. Now I'll quickly take the body off and just run you through very quickly the entire process of changing this chassis over. I do have a couple of batteries in here at the moment because I was centering out my my steering servo, and obviously I just wanted to make sure everything else was working okay as well. This is just 4S that I've got in here at the moment. I used Loctite on a lot of the screws that I replaced, and even some of the ones that I hadn't touched. I took some of them out and I put Loctite in there as well, just to avoid any more incidents like I did, like I had with this outdrive cup where the little grub screw backed out. So yeah, just put Loctite wherever I could, and that should hopefully stop any more screws from going missing. Now you can see, as you're looking at the underneath of the chassis here, that you've got this plate back here, which is where your motor's mounted, but there's nothing at the front, so you end up with this void at the front, and that's where the chassis is weakest. So if you actually have a couple of bad landings on your side like I did, you end up with a buckled chassis. It has plenty of strength in a vertical sense, but it doesn't seem to have enough strength in a horizontal sense. So this is where I need to focus my bracing. Whether I put something that goes straight from back to front, or whether I put something that only kind of helps to stiffen the chassis up at this end, I'm not 100% sure at this stage. One thing's for sure, I've got plenty of room here to put a nice thick aluminium plate. Hopefully that will strengthen it up a little bit. And you can see that there's actually a couple of unused screw holes here, which should be ideal for me to mount up a plate to wedge in between, or even something to sort of clamp on the outside. I'm not quite sure which way I'm going to go here yet, but we'll sort it out. I'm sure I can get something going. And that's pretty much it, guys. The total swap over of the chassis took me somewhere between 2.5 to 3 hours, and that was with filming included. So obviously, you know, if you sit down and you knuckle in and start swapping over chassis, you're probably only going to be taking somewhere around the 2-hour mark, I would think, maybe even less, depending on how good you are and how quick you are and how many power tools you have. That is pretty much it. I do want to take this opportunity again to thank OFNA for their wonderful customer service and all the parts that they send out to me. It's also very nice to hear that I'm not the only one that's being looked after by them. As I said, I've had a couple of people contact me about the buckled chassis that they've had on their Hyper MTe, and OFNA are looking after them as well. So great to hear that OFNA is sticking by their product, and yeah, just warranting the buckled chassis. It's just a bit of a shame that it's a little bit weak at this end. Hopefully somebody out there will come out with a generic brace that we can mount on here. If not OFNA themselves, maybe a third-party company could come up with something, which would be great, and that would obviously make for a very solid truck. But I'm going to leave it here, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to check out the video description for more information on the truck, as well as links to the previous videos of it, and a link to my Facebook page, which will keep you a couple of steps ahead of what goes on here on YouTube. Please hit the like button before you go. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll speak to you guys next time.